This is the City Upon a Hill podcast, the conservative Christian podcast where we discuss how we, the people of the United States, can be a bright, shining light to the individuals and the countries around us. I am Miguel Brown, and today I would like to discuss something that I find absolutely amazing. On July 3rd, President Trump went to Iowa, where he kicked off the year-long Great American State Fair in celebration of America's 250th birthday. Not only is President Trump hosting this Great American State Fair, but Secretary of Health and Human Services Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is heading up the Patriot Games, a nationally televised athletics competition featuring athletes from across the country. While I think that all of this is very cool and undeniably stirring up patriotism, I am here to discuss something President Trump said at his Salute to America speech that I think is just absolutely amazing. In this speech, President Trump said that he wanted religious communities to lift up our nation in prayer. He said, quote, "Let us rededicate ourselves to one nation under God." So, in order to prepare America for her 250th birthday, the President of the United States of America wants us to pray. This is just incredible. Times are going pretty well right now, aren't they? President Trump is in the Oval Office, inflation is vanishing from our republic, common sense is being restored, illegal aliens are being deported, and the One Big Beautiful Bill has been passed, ushering in a new golden age for America. But while God is at work, we must realize that the devil is also at work, seeking whom he may destroy. For the first time in many years, it really does look like America could be restored to greatness. But, as Proverbs 16 verse 18 says, "Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall." We must not become prideful in what we are achieving, and we can't get too comfortable in having a good time. We must remember God and keep Him in this. In his inaugural address, President Trump stated that he and his administration would be motivated by a pursuit of excellence and success. He said, quote, "We will not forget our country, we will not forget our Constitution, and we will not forget our God." Deuteronomy chapter 6, verses 10 through 12 say, "So it shall be when the Lord your God brings you into the land of which he swore to your fathers, to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, to give you large and beautiful cities which you did not build, houses full of all good things, which you did not fill, hewn out wells, which you did not dig, vineyards and olive trees, which you did not plant. When you have eaten and are full, then beware, lest you forget the Lord who brought you out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage." Throughout the scriptures, we see that when the Israelites would go through times of prosperity, they would sometimes forget about God. They would begin to accept wicked pagan ideology surrounding them. 2 Chronicles chapter 33 verse 4 says that Manasseh also built altars in the house of the Lord, of which the Lord had said, "In Jerusalem shall my name be forever." That is, Manasseh took God's house, the temple, and turned it into a place to worship idols. Unfortunately, we see a lot of what would have been considered pagan practices back then being accepted as completely normal and fine today in our society. And as I have stated before, this is because our once Christian worldview has been completely distorted. So we cannot forget God. We must keep Him as the center of our nation. We need to make Him the glue that holds our republic together. 2 Chronicles chapter 7, verse 14 says, If my people, and this is God talking here, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and heal their land. It only takes humility and prayer. If we would just humble ourselves and pray, big and great things would happen in our country. So, I completely and fully support what President Trump is asking for. It is a simple request: prayer. You don't need to have Congress make a budget for it. You don't need to pass an executive order to make it happen. America just needs to kneel and cry out to her first love, whom she has forsaken. We need to understand something. America was founded by men of prayer. As President Trump said in his speech in Iowa, our country has always been a country sustained and strengthened by prayer. The First Continental Congress in 1774 started with a word of prayer. In May 1778, General George Washington called for a day of thanksgiving to God when he learned that the French Navy had agreed to help the colonies fight against Great Britain in the American War for Independence. There is a very famous painting of George Washington praying at Valley Forge. At the Constitutional Convention, Benjamin Franklin said, quote, "I am convinced that God governs in the affairs of men. If a sparrow cannot fall to the ground without his notice, is it probable that an empire can rise without his aid?" In my opinion, praying for our nation is an act of patriotism. So let us carry on the legacy of prayer that our founders started. And that concludes this episode of the City Upon a Hill podcast. I hope that you were encouraged and inspired. May God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America.